Hi, hello, namaste. Welcome to another episode of Kitaabi Keeda, a series where I read indie books in hopes of finding my next favorite author. Let's dig into the TBR jar to find our next read. And the next book we will read today is Phoenix Rises Dragon Soars. Let me just very quickly download the book. An empire in turmoil, a forbidden magic promising death. 4 lives changed forever. The emperor is dead and his widow's rule drowns the land in fear. Soldiers terrorize the very people they should protect. Taxes bleed the poor and the executioner's blade awaits anyone accused of using magic. A mercenary, haunted by his past, risks his future for a chance at the family he thought he could never have. A noble woman, bereft of home and memory, begins reclaiming her past to avenge those she lost. A disgraced commander hunts the truth behind his family's murders, leaving death and destruction in his wake. A shamaness is driven from sanctuary by the desperate actions of a grieving man. Through everything, the thread of a dangerous magic runs deep. Volatile as its wielder's emotion, it forges bonds of loyalty and love and holds the power to reshape the empire's fate. But trust is fragile, and when long buried secrets surface, bonds may shatter, and vengeance may be all that remains. Set in a world inspired by Imperial China, Phoenix Rises Dragon Soars is a dark, character driven epic fantasy and the unforgettable beginning of the Four Guardians trilogy. For those who always wanted to build but didn't think they could, you can. Like the ink stains on his fingers after doing the damned books, the blood on his robes never washed off completely. Alright, I'm somewhere around page 50, and for the first 4 chapters, this book focuses on 2 protagonists. Our first protagonist is Ling Wei. Like any respectable 26-year-old, Ling Wei is a commander in the mercenary group known as Black Lotus. Our story opens with some good old-fashioned intimidation and violence. Our protagonist is a bad boy with a heart of gold. He does not like violence, but that's his job, so he gotta do it, right? Immediately in the next scene, we are introduced to our second protagonist and Ling Wei's love interest, Shu Fang. She's a sweet and caring girl who does not shy away from expressing her opinions. She provides people not only with food but also protection against the scary mercenaries. Sparks fly instantly, and the author makes it clear from the very first meeting that these two are end goal. Next we meet Jindai, who is a childhood friend of the deceased emperor. He sets up a meeting with Shu Fang's father where he shares his suspicions that the empress probably killed the late emperor as well as Jindai's entire family using magic. The discussion that follows is basically an info dump on the magic system in this book. We then pivot to the point of view of the empress, the big bad of this entire book. She's enjoying some well-deserved rest after an entire day of doing whatever it is that villains do, when a fox spirit she sent after Jindai comes back to report on the meeting. After that, the fox spirit carries a letter from the empress all the way back to the village, delivers it, and then to spend the rest of her evening, she basically goes and hits on Longwei. But our boy is already in love, so he rejects her advances. The next evening, mercenaries, not the ones our hero works for, different mercenaries, attack Shu Fang's house and set it on fire. She is the sole survivor thanks to a last-minute rescue attempt by Jindai. But he is also the reason her father died, so do we give him bonus points for saving her? Just as Jindai is about to take Shu Fang to a healer in the village, who shows up but lover boy Longwei. Together, they take the unconscious damsel in distress to a shamaness deep within the forest. The shamaness performs a ritual to bring her fever down, but Shu Fang doesn't wake up. Jindai's paranoia causes his powers to surge at a very unfortunate moment, which leads to him employing Longwei to get him out of the city. So far so good. Yeah, our boy does get him out, but on the way out of the city, Jindai decides that he wants to stop by the shamaness's house just to see if Shu Fang has any information about magic. As if her dad is going to be like, hey baby, in case an assassin brutally kills me, how about you keep these scrolls with you so that when a stranger appears, you can just hand him over all the information on magic. Jindai is pissing me off. At this point, he knows that he is being followed. He knows that he is the reason Shu Fang lost everything. And yet he decides to drop by that hut and put both the shamaness and Shu Fang in danger. And put them in danger he does, because the fox spirit realizes that the shamaness is also a magic user, goes running to the empress, tells her everything that happened and brings back a death sentence for the shamaness. In the meantime, Shu Fang wakes up, but she has lost her memories and her will to live. For the foreseeable future, she does two things: does whatever she is told and stares into the void. And that, I think, is a great depiction of grief. The shamaness reaches out to her contacts and somehow she figures out a way to send Shu Fang to her mother's relatives. The day Shu Fang is supposed to depart, the moment that she is about to climb into the carriage, guess who shows up? Why, Longwei, of course. He takes one look at Shu Fang and decides she's not going on this journey alone. The amount of coincidence in this book is staggering. Speaking of Longwei, let's rewind to the night before, where he is offered to be the head of the entire mercenary group, not just a branch. But this man, who has known nothing except violence his entire life, needs some time to think and reflect on how just seeing Shu Fang from afar has changed his entire personality. Our boy had 2.5 meetings with the noble woman and is now reconsidering his entire life. What is wrong with him? The moment he sees what Shu Fang looks like, he decides to throw away his entire life and pursue her romantically. Who's surprised? Not me. However, this is not the stupid part. The stupid part is what comes next. If you decide to run away from a cult, it is in your best interest to not go to the cult leader and tell him that you are running away. That's exactly what Longwei does. And for that, we get rewarded with the most brilliant line in this book. The old man backhanded him across the face. Not only does the leader dish out consequences, he also tells his gang to capture Longwei, dead or alive. What else was he expecting? Of course, Longwei manages to escape, and I am sitting over here wondering why on earth is this man making the dumbest decisions in every single situation. Meanwhile, a childhood friend grabs the shamaness and tells her that she's being hunted for displaying magic. Another day, another problem. Longwei rushes after Shu Fang's carriage only to find the carriage attacked by bandits. They have killed her escorts and carried her away to do things that bandits often do in such stories. He follows the trail of blood and finds them in a nearby cave. Seeing Shu Fang in danger, his magic awakens and he kills 4 of the 7 bandits. The other 3, they get barbecued by Shu Fang's newly awakened fire magic. Well deserved, I'd say. Speaking of Shu Fang, she has finally snapped out of the catatonic state, but the entire trauma has left her with a little bit of an amnesia. They spend the next few days traversing through the forest and sharing tender moments here and there. I do like the scenes of them sharing these moments. I think it is very well written and very gentle and sweet and romantic. Let's check in with Jindai, shall we? He is also staying in one of these caves where everything seems to be happening, and the first time he goes to the market, he immediately bumps into Longwei and Shu Fang. The magic aspect of this book is doing a lot of heavy lifting. I do hope it is justified eventually. Not only do the 3 of them find each other, but they also find out that the shamaness has been arrested and she is going to be executed in the same exact town for magic possession. Again, does she die? Of course not. They manage to rescue her because, she's on the blurb, so she's got the plot armor. Our gang is finally together, and you know what that means. Training montage. I do have a small little gripe with the story at this point though. The shamaness is the most experienced magic user in the story so far, and she forgets to put up basic protection charms. And of course, magic is traceable like a GPS in this world, so you would think that the first thing she does is nullify the tracer. Why do all these adults have the maturity level of a teenager? At this point, magic gets put on the back burner for a little bit. As the story takes a sharp right turn into the mother figure does not approve of the love interest trope that is very common of romance. That is until Shu Fang tells the shamaness to literally just back off for a little bit. Which, go girl, if only we could get back to the fantasy at this point. About 20 pages of romance nonsense later, the book finally gets back on track. I forgot to mention that Jindai lost an important dagger while he was trying to rescue the shamaness, and so Longwei goes back into the city just to find whatever information he can. This is the dagger he needs to get into the imperial palace and kill the villainous empress And the way he lost it just makes him come across as careless, which, not a good trait for a main character unless it is deliberate, which I don't think it is in this case. 1 week of rain and snow later, Longwei makes it back to the cave with information and frostbite. The shamaness shows her experience, heals him right up. And soon, our gang comes up with a very, in my opinion, stupid plan to seduce the head cop, get the key from him, break into the police station, and steal the dagger, which is basically evidence at this point. But before they can execute this plan, Shu Fang regains his memories of Longwei and now they are fighting. Like, she gets so upset that she asks him to leave. And I get that he was basically a goon in his previous life, but he left everything behind to pursue Shu Fang and make sure that she is safe. I think that life of his can be forgiven given how nice he is trying to be right now. Apparently, Shu Fang disagrees. So Longwei leaves, and Jinde convinces Shu Fang to execute the very stupid plan. And so they do it, and surprise, surprise, the dagger is not in evidence but on the head cop's person. Because that's what you do with crucial evidence, I guess. Carry it around in your pocket. So Shu Fang carries the dagger to Jindai but not before telling Longwei to just piss off, which honestly is pissing me off. And this is where the book ends. I went back and forth a couple of times thinking I had missed 1 or 2 chapters, but no, this is where the book ends. Left me feeling like the movie had hit an abrupt interval. So yeah, that's it. Number 1, the magic system is quite interesting and I love when magic has drawbacks to it. Number 2, the world actually feels quite a bit lived in. There is a proper hierarchy and more than the farmer and the baker are mentioned through the story. Like, the villages seem fully fleshed out with cabbage sellers and pubs and not only pubs and taverns but also a lot of other things that should exist in a village but are usually not present in a fantasy story. Number 3, this book deals with a lot of heavy topics, but I think the writer has done a tremendous job giving it the sensitivity and empathy that it deserves. Number 1, the tone shift between romance and adventure basically pulled me out of the book and, according to me, screwed up the pacing a little bit. Number 2, the only reason this book takes place in China is because the magic system that is used in this book comes from Chinese myths. I feel like a lot more could have been done with the place setting, and I do hope that the writer does it in book 2. Number 3, and the most important one. Throughout the story, this book kept promising me that a confrontation with the Empress is coming, but then it ended way before that. I think that kinda did not give me the satisfaction I usually get from finishing a book. It didn't feel like the story was complete. But that's just my opinion, you may or may not agree. Okay, so overall, I would not recommend this book, but if I saw someone reading it, I would not tell them to not read it. That's it, that's the video. Thank you for watching. And if you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe. Talk soon.